How are my favorite followers and traders doing? Welcome to our weekend update. Today, the 31st of January. Let's get right into it. I want to start with some commentary. We had significant movement in metals the end of this week, Friday, in what was nearly a 6 and 7 sigma move down. We'll cover that when we get into metals. Also, at the current timing of this video, there are explosions in Iran. So whether or not the US or Israel has claimed that, it remains to be seen, but this could be the start of significant uh, conflict with Iran. And also at the timing of this video, Bitcoin is down 6% and continuing to drop. Typically, we see cryptocurrencies front run indices, Nasdaq, Russell, and the S&P 500. So if it is dropping because of the conflict, perhaps at open on Sunday, we'll see significant drop, and as well as New York open in indices. So we're going to get right into indices and talk about that. And conflict generally rises metals, right? So fear rises metals, and we'll see. I'll show you what the charts are telling me. All right, guys, the Nasdaq. Again, we closed Friday down a little bit. The white line indicates the new data since my last video, and nothing has changed there, guys. I said we're going to oscillate between that all-time high and this critical anchored VWAP, which we have done, and this has been the same over the last 4 or 5 weeks that I've done this report. But again, I want you to note that we're setting higher lows. So we are in an uptrend slightly as we compress against that all-time high. And you can see we double topped right here, interestingly enough, to see if it breaks. The sell volume was relatively high. This will be affected if we have conflict with Iran. We'll definitely see a drop to here and to here. So more likely 24,750 and potentially 1,000 points lower than that, at least within this range, depending on how the markets view the conflict and if if it ramps up this weekend. I don't know. We have 2 more days left in this weekend as I film this video, guys. So the S&P 500 looks almost exactly the same. We are range bound in an upward trend, setting higher lows each time, right? Until we sweep these lows out in the S&P and Nasdaq, we are still in a mild uptrend, yet range bound, and 7,000 seems to be the critical number there. We did have a drop and rebound a little bit on Friday, but still within the range, which doesn't surprise me. The Russell 2000, what I want to point out here, guys, is this sector here forward has been this week. We did sell down to 2,600. I showed you that 2,700 was significant resistance. We'd pierced it, broke back down. We did close above it, and then closed below it, and then dropped and found support almost to the penny, off by about $1.50 to 2,600 as support. One thing I want to show you here is you hear me talk about January effect. I think don't hold me to the statistic. I believe it's like 87% of the years going back, the Russell 2000, the small caps outperform the rest of the market. And this gray box represents January. And as you can see, January effect was very strong. This year in 2026, where it climbed from approximately 2480 all the way up to almost 27, almost 300 points. That's a pretty good January effect. And now, as I remove this box, we may be selling down. We're hitting some key support here. You can see it in price. Doesn't mean that it can't bounce back up and get trapped within here and oscillate like our brother and sisters in the Nasdaq and S&P are doing. But again, not knowing how the war catalyst is going to play out this week, a war catalyst could drop us down, and we may see these levels here at 24,750. So we'll keep an eye on it. For all those that follow me in my groups, I stay on top of it, but this is the data that I have in this moment. And just prior to recording, there was an announcement that multiple explosions in Iran. So is it the war? Is it not the war? We're not certain, but I do know that war usually shoots the indices down, and then long-term war shoots them up because it's good for the military industrial complex. And I do know that metals rise on fear. These are general statements based on normal reactions. What I would recommend is if you are in the profit on any stock that is in one of these baskets that you tighten stop losses. We've done that in case you get a further drop and a stronger sell off, so that you can realize your net gains and then re-enter high conviction trades. So looking at Google, I'm not changing my box from my previous week, guys. Um, Not changing it at all. You can see that this first all-time high is providing some support here. Now, my question is, we nearly peaked at the same level. Is this a double top? In other words, a double top looks like the letter M, okay? And we don't know if it's a double top unless that neckline breaks. If this neckline breaks, it could head down significantly. If it heads down, I see support at the bottom of this box. So right now, this box is kind of my interested area of interest for a buy between 300 and 320 until proven otherwise. In this environment, I would not buy that VWAP, so I am monitoring it. ACLO, right now, a lot of people are monitoring this, not seeing this buy until it hits the green box. Remember from my last video, I said I didn't like it in between this all-time high when price was sitting over here. Let's move this over. We should be moving it forward a week. There we go. I didn't like it as it set in this range. It either needed to break this level or hold this level. So it looks like we're going to come down and test this level. Now, if we come down and we hold and we get a sign like we got here where we got a compressed hold and then nice high volume on it, that is generally considered a buy in the bottom of that range. So we're going to keep it out. And that price is going to be somewhere between 70 and 75. I'm keeping an eye on that right now. M&P, MP Materials. Now, this is an interesting one. We had talked about a potential buy setup that happened 2 weeks ago, the cross of this all-time high and then hold above it. That is clearly a buy signal, and it did pay. It paid from that 66 up to 73, so $9 before closing below as a sell signal and then selling off. So your trade plan here, if your long-term profits were up here, you might not have moved your stop loss, might have realized a small loss of $5. Otherwise, if you're in the money, $9, many traders would have gone break even, let it ride. And then if you got kicked out, there was zero loss. The only thing you lose is time on your money. So there was a different, multiple ways to trade that. But anyway, that trade plan is done, whether you lost money, went break even, or took some profit. That's where that looks. I'm looking for support now on this sell-off into the next green box. You can see this bottom, and that's part of the reason why we derive this green box, and that is area of interest. We'll call it 48.50 to about 53.50. Going to look for support there, and then lower if we get a strong sell-off. But right now, as of right now, that looks good, and we want to see volume come back in as it hits this box. If no buy-side volume, we wait to the lower level. Write that down. As you look at support levels, no buy-side volume in the support level, you don't buy, you wait till it finds a level by which it will find support. Okay, so over to BBAI. Now, BBAI, all the AI and quantum stocks got their butts kicked on Friday, end of the week. They were running up and then fell pretty hard. So we want to look at this. BBAI is still in my area of interest. I talk about I am in at 550, the green line, 3/4 of my allocation. I'm willing to buy if this orange line, this kind of low down here holds and bounces. I'll buy another allocation, lowering my DCA, but my stop loss at 399 has not moved. I know some people have reached out to me and asked, has not moved. Technically, you can see we hit this level before it was a discount. We hit this level before it was a discount. We hit this level before it was a discount. So is this a discount level again? It's still in my area of interest. And I will hold this trade until I'm kicked out at 399. Once we get up into 8 and 850, I will go to break even. This is one I want to hold long term. Pony gave a pretty significant sell signal here in the fact that the white and red line, let me move my week. There we go. This break of this white and red line right here on Thursday was a pretty strong sell signal that it was going to discount, and then it the second day also closed below. So that is the IPO and all-time high anchored VWAP. So we're going to go down in discount. It is in an area of interest right now between 13 and 14, where actually that's where I bought it before over here. Bought it before over here and then sold it at 20, right? Or actually 2150, that gold line. So this was a decent buy zone before. I still think it exists, but again, we want to see buy side volume come back in to reverse out of this position to confirm our buy. If this doesn't hold and sell volume continues, I would anticipate our next drop to be somewhere in this wick of this candle between 1050 and 1150 as my next area of interest. And that should be easy to sell. See, if we start getting green candles with high volume, then it's probably going to reverse out. A good way to do a trade plan is to buy that reversal with a stop loss right below the pivot low. So that low that is formed. So here's what I'm saying, guys. So let's say it drops down, starts to flatten out, then you get volume come back in, you buy, and then you put your stop loss right below that swing low. Guys, this is not financial advice. This is just me explaining how you look at charts. This is how I analyze charts and do my trades. You must do your own due diligence and make your own decisions, and do not take my trades per data per point. You got to do your own due diligence, guys. This is just my risk is my risk. All right. QBTS also fell. This is one I own long term from down around $8 is my buy. My stop loss is this red line right below this wick. I'm trying to hide in this resistance zone that finishes at that wick at 1822 is approximately my stop loss. This is a pretty hard sell off after this red zone that we identified as a resistance zone over the last couple of weeks for everybody. And it sold down pretty strongly here. And we can see with my matrix indicator, we do have strong momentum. So again, same thing. In order for it to be supportive and me to stay in this trade, we're going to need to see some buy side volume come back in, and then it looked good. However, with this trade, if I do get kicked out, I'll realize a 300% gain. Although I've left a lot of money on the table, it's some of these other highs. This is just one that I'm trying to do as a long-term hold. If it drops and the thesis still remains strong, I'll consider rebuying. IONQ, we're in an area of interest for a buy right now. Guys, same story. It must show support with buy side volume and green candles in order to confirm the buy. But I see support, as you can see, clear across the chart. This should be decent support coming up. And if not, we wait for it to drop, price discover, support. But as of right now, most of these are not a buy because they are non-confirmed on the drop. And with potential catalysts coming out of the weekend with war, and if indices sell, these all sit in the indices, so they could push down. QUBT I talked about a former support box here, and it's fallen through that box. We closed below it, so it took out these lows. This probably means a continuation to the downside. We look to price for support. We're going to look at 582 and 434. It's currently at 927. So you might get an additional 50% discount here. I'm not saying it will happen, but it may have potential. UUU, so 4Us, the uranium energy fuels, is looking pretty good on the thesis with everything going on with Donald Trump. I want you to see that this red line is the first all-time high anchored VWAP, and we may come down and test that. If we do, guys, this creates a very interesting setup. If you can't see it, this is known as a cup and handle. So we come up, we hit that, and then we take off. So I'm watching a buy between current price and probably 1950 to 20. So we're real close. This zone here, if we get support, could form a cup and handle, which is a very bullish formation in the metals. So the macro experts are calling 4Us, UUUU, a buy. And I think a good zeroed in buy is somewhere in that box, 1950 to 2150. So keep an eye on that. All right, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the 6 and 7 sigma move in metals. Um, guys, listen, I've always said that what breaks support and resistance is high volume, right? High velocity. And man, we had it. So we did hit, I called on the hourly, um, the fact that we were turning, but we need to wait for the daily candle to determine um, whether or not we're uh, we've hit bottom. Here's the problem on the daily, guys. This is high velocity with high volume, so it is supportive of a downward move. I do want to say that do you remember let me see here. During the week, we had this candle, this high volume, uh, almost gravestone doji, where I most certainly thought we were going to sell off. That candle generally predicts strong downward movement, especially with that volume compared to that volume. We had 2 green days and then the massive sell-off. I've never seen a delay in that type of a candle, right? And we see it in gold as well. I mean, we had that same formation here. We ran up 2 days and then the massive sell. We saw it in all of them. So back to gold, guys. We what I was saying on the hourly is we started getting like here's a supportive candle with some supportive volume, but we didn't sweep out the sellers. And then the volume declined. We had some sell side volume in, and then we closed with weak buying volume. So to me, that is not that is decent candle movement to decel. It was enough to decelerate the drop, but without further data, it's not enough to say we've bottomed. Now, if we, with the war or potential war and bombings in Iran, if metals all of a sudden buy, then we're going to have more data where volume comes into the buy side and we'll go, yeah, now buy side volume is supportive. We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Only thing I can see is in this right now is our drop decelerated. It's not saying on the daily that the drop is over. Those discount ranges, and right now our 5,000 level is resistance because it once was support. So I think a break and hold of 5,000 is a significant sign. It tried to hold 4,900 for the close and it didn't. If you're aggressive, if we lift above 4,900, you could buy that and have a tight stop loss right now. If you're trying to swing trade this back and you're not doing on leverage, any buy now, you could use this wick as your stop loss and try to run it back up to the projected price of 6,000 to 6,500. Excuse me. There's different ways to do this, guys. I personally just stayed out of the way of this. Gold was throwing 85 and 110 point candles on the minute. You can't day trade that with leverage. So silver, same thing, guys. Those boxes where we were once identified as uh, support are now resistance. We did, incidentally, guys, right exactly at that price. JPMorgan Chase closed their short position of 3 million ounces of silver and it rebounded once they closed their position. That wasn't the sole driver of this drop. From my research, the main driver of this drop was the strength in the dollar index and the strength in yields due to the appointment of Kevin Warsh who is very dovish, right? So a strong dollar means weaker metals. So we'll see how this plays out. But right now, 90 is resistance and the 99 to 101 is resistance. But if you listen to all the experts, they say we're going to be at 150 pretty soon with price projections at 200 at year's end. And again, any buy here like at 85, I would have a tight stop loss using even numbers as a dollar and try to hunt several dollars. I personally am not trading silver. I own physical silver, but I'm not trading silver. The volatility is just too high. Again, we don't have confirmation. This is the same story. On the hourly, guys, we saw signs of deceleration. This is signs of deceleration with non-supportive volume down here. See how the red is in control? All that is so that generally speaks without catalyst that is exhaustion, and then it will rest for a further move down. But again, bombing Iran might push it back up. We don't know. We don't know until we get more data come in. XPT, same thing. This is on the hourly. This is a very supportive uh, candle with decent volume, not great volume, right? And then declining volume into the close. You can see my matrix called a momentum shift here, and that's based on price. But my area of interest for this is 1900 to 2000 for a discount buy, as I like to swing that. But if you look at it on the daily, folks, that's still, we did have declining volume in platinum. So this might be bottom, right? If you retap into 2000, that would probably be a good swing buy is what I'm going to look for because I love swing buying as palladium on the daily, same thing. This was my area of interest, 1600 to 1685. It didn't break that. It pierced it. That's known as a false break. It held. So that is a decent buy area for myself as I try to ride it back up. This one has the most potential because the all-time high is way up here. It's the only metal that hasn't hit all-time highs. So, and these green boxes overhead are now red resistance. So whole 100 even dollar amounts will be resistance now, 1800, 1900, 2000, and so on. And I like 1600 to 1685 as a buy for myself. Copper really dropped down strongly as well. It broke through some key levels, but didn't hold, and it closed at 591. But uh, I do like 565 if it can, 555 to 565 if it were to continue down. But really, the strength of this thesis in copper is pretty strong. So any discount you get sub $6 right now is seeming to be pretty good. But I want you to notice on a daily close, high volume. So we can't say that that was bottom until we get declining volume or buy side volume back in. If we look at it on the hourly, guys, this is like a broken record. That is a supportive candle for a reversal, but declining volume. So right now the VWAP is resistance. You might get a discount coming back in. That discount might be down to 570. You might be into my zone of 555 or 565. But again, bombing Iran might just shoot it up. We will see. I don't have enough data as of the filming of this, that it's just currently happening and nobody has claimed responsibility for the explosions going on in there. All right, guys, while I'm on top of it, if you have questions, if you have tickers you specifically want to see, I will consider them as I do my report. I like to report on things that I'm trading and that my communities are trading. Just put it down there in the comment box. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow, and please share this to people that you think would find the information useful. I'll see you next week on our weekly update, and best of luck trading this week.